Yeah, it's but would you say that it's almost a very tough time to be a comedian in such PC times? And by that I mean, like, do you write a joke and think that's hilarious? I can't say that. They'll go after my advertisers or whatever.
No, here's the place I'm in. I've said this before, but I've also seen the flip side of the coin. I've said I don't have anything that they can take from me because I'm not on a major network. I'm at Compound Media, so whenever we get in trouble at Compound Media, we usually get raises. And that's the beautiful thing about working at for Anthony's company. But I've seen, we had an issue. I've gotten in trouble a couple times. And what they'll do online is they'll try and go after your work. They'll try and go after your stage work. So they'll reach out to clubs like, why are you working with? And they'll blow up the story. So, like, we did a joke on In Hot Water. There was a girl that was offended. She left the show. So our fans go, man, I wish she, quote unquote, shows up on the show, meaning me playing her as the character, and hope she gets a railroad spike up her ass. So, meaning I would show up the next day and be like, I've got a railroad spike up. But this girl saw it and she's like, I'm being threatened with and blah, blah, blah. So they blew it into this. So, first, it's a fan had threatened, which never happened. And then it turns into like Aaron Berg supports threats. And then it's like Aaron Berg harasses women. So it went from this nothing to a way huger nothing. And then people are like, hey, FBI, why aren't you investigating Aaron Berg? And hey, why is this club working with? So, and the things usually pass in a couple days if you don't add fuel to the fire. But I've also found this: if they do come after it, the people that like you will like you that much more. You can't apologize because if you apologize, you lose the people you had, and you're not going to make it up to the people that hate you. But yeah,
Yeah,
there's a fear. There is a fear that it's all going to go away. When you're caught in that turmoil, you're like, I'm going to lose it. And you wonder what your out plan is. I'm like, oh, I can't move back to Canada because there's no freedom of speech there. Could I go to England? Could I go to Australia? So it does, but I'm also very catastrophic. So it'll go from 0 to 100 for me. Where I'll be like, I could be booked for 8 months ahead, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to lose everything. And it's like, it's an irrational fear, but I really feel like what we're doing, it's gonna come back around. People are gonna get sick of this other shit.
that's actually just brought me right up to the next point I wanted to ask. Is that or talk about? Is it? Do you think this whole Jussie Smollett thing? You know that guy, yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
I wouldn't pronounce it as French, but je sais Smollett. Bonjour, El Negro del Gaylord was hanged by the news by the Nigerian consulate. Yeah, do I think the Jussie? So I pronounce it Jussie Smollett, and I'm sorry, I don't. I'm not making fun of your accent. I think is very very nice.
thing. But yeah, well, that guy. Do you think the reaction to the the unbelievable outpouring of super snowflakery to then be revealed to be full of shit? Do you think this is going to somehow start a snowball of change?
I think people are more aware of it. I think people are starting to look into it. There was another hoax that got released like right after that, where there was like a trans man whose house burnt down, and he was like, it was a hate crime, and then they just found out he lit his own house on fire, and unfortunately killed 5 animals. But what are you gonna do? You're mentally ill. So
Yeah,
I love saying that. Excuse me. I think people are going to be more aware. And when you watch, there was an American comedian, Harry Kondabalu, who's like a real woke guy. He's Indian. He called for Apu to be kicked off The Simpsons. I don't know if you remember that, and it
yeah.
happened. So he posted like, the fact that we all believe this just shows how much it happens. And even though it wasn't real, we need to be. And I was like, nobody believed it. If you had any logic, the day that story was released, you're like, this is not true. Well, I've dealt with it before. There was a comic that said like, right after Trump got elected, some guy walked up to him and he was like, and said the word, and he's like, what'd you say? He's like, oh, I can say it now because Trump's president. And I was like, no one does that. No
Yeah.
one. You just know the story is unreal because as much as individuals were very different, we all kind of have a common sensibility as human beings, and you're aware of unless someone's like totally off the charts, mentally fucking batshit, you know that someone wouldn't walk up to someone and say that. You just know that.